Hello, in today's video, we finished this. Want to see how I did it? Keep watching. First things first. Now, I didn't bodywork this bit because I knew it would need some adjusting, and it appears I need to weld down a little bit here as I've gone a little bit high. We want that to match up. And we need to make a slit in here somewhere to bring that down to match that. And similar on the other side, we need to do the same. At that corner, we need to make that go down a touch to fit with that. Now I think if we cut it in there, lift that up a bit, that should bring that down and make it fit. We'll see how we go. Well, clever me took off too much metal and we made it thin like paper, and it just broke out. So now we have to make a patch panel for that. Well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. Well, that little rust repair or thin metal repair that I didn't work out very well, but I have trimmed and adjusted the filler panel and it fits like a loose glove. Let's have a look at it. Well, as you can see here, that didn't quite go to plan, but I'm not finished there. I've still got to metal sand that, and that'll get rid of most of those high and low spots. That's just taking forever. But the filler panel, if we look down sideways, once that bit there, which is still a bit high, but we have a gap here. Once that's clamped in and down, we're pretty bloody level. So I made a cut there to get more of the boot shape back, and then we'll just weld that up after we've tacked it in. And I'll give you a look at the other side. That was a bit more difficult than that side. Just didn't want to play ball, but same thing again. Split it open there to get it in the boot channel. Trimmed most of that extra lip bit off there to get that to fit, but this again, once that clamps down, I can't press it down because I've got clamps on it, but once that gets pushed down, that brings that down level with that, and we're good. So next step is drill holes where all the spot welds are going to go, and there's going to be a few, or plug welds, whatever we're going to call them. There's little tabs, and there's underneath there, there's one there, over there, there's tabs everywhere to hold it in. So we're going to be doing a lot of holes, and then we'll tack it in. And I would really like to get, before it's fully welded in, someone to give me a hand and lift the window and put it in, make sure it fits before we fully weld the thing in, but we'll see how we go. Well, I'm trying to work out the orientation of this filler panel, so I've refitted the old rear window rubber as to see where it's going to fit. So I'm going to put the filler piece in with the window rubber and see what that looks like. Filler piece has been set in with the window rubber. It doesn't look too bad, but the only problem that I'm seeing is because that window lip is so big, it's right on the edge of the rubber there. So I think I'm going to have to at least trim that back some so we can get, so it's not so tight, because that's tight, like tight. Would you look at that? I decided while I've got the filler piece in held by the rubber, sitting down nicely, I thought I might chuck the old boot on and see what the fitment's like. Now when we push it down to the fully closed position, have a look at this, would you? Now it's not adjusted properly, but that looks pretty damn good to me. Like, that boot fits on quite nicely. Pretty even gap all the way around, and that's just a quick fitment. The bolts are extremely tight, you know, they're tightened up a little bit, so I think all we need to do is zip that window lip down a little bit and it's ready to start buzzing it in. I'm quite happy with that. I just wish I could fit the window in to test fit that, but we all know how easy they aren't. Let's get this boot off and zip that lip down. Couldn't help myself. I had to test fit the window as well. I know it's just sitting on the outside of the rubber, but I just wanted to see what it looked like. I wish I had left the boot lid on as well, but I took that off. So I reckon we're pretty good to go. No more dicking around. Let's get to it. It's a little hard to see, but I have marked on here where we need to cut, so there is a line on there. I don't want to take the full amount off. I'm just going to take a little bit off. If you can see that line, like once you get to the middle here, it's almost the whole damn thing gone. So I don't, maybe we'll go halfway, because we still need something to weld it on with. So we'll start trimming that back and we'll go from there. That is heaps better. It doesn't stretch out the top of the rubber there like it was before. So I just got to clean up the frayed edges on that and we're ready to go. Ooh, I can't wait. The time has come to start the welding. I've got a couple of clamps in because we'll put a tack on each side so we can get it to the level that we want on the sides, because they're a little bit high, but we will force that down or massage it down to the right height, and then we'll clamp the middle, put a few tacks in there, and then we'll go around and finish tacking it in. Now all the underside is coated with primer and ready to go. So it's now time for what we've been waiting for, to get this sucker in. Okay, so we tack welded in. Now I had a few dramas with that one there, didn't want to take, but we had to, I stopped the camera and I re-drilled it out and went again, and it seems to have taken this time. So then we've got a couple in the middle and one over there on the side and one on the top of the lip, and then three on the back side of that lip there. Now probably what I should do is, before I put anything else on, is try and refit the boot and the window rubber again, see how we go. So that's what we'll do. So boot lid is on, and I'm glad I put it on, because if you have a look, the center section here is too low. So I'm gonna have to regrind off those welds and get it to sit a bit higher. Like the corners are good, but in the center there is just way too low. So it looks like what's happening is, where we've welded to this plate here, that plate needs to come up, not the piece come down. So we need to unattach those and bend this plate a bit so it's more straight. Like we've got too much curve coming along there. So that's what we'll do. Plug welds have been drilled out, and as you can see, that piece has come back into line. So if we just open up the boot lid and have a look, we need to get this lip up another ½ inch or so. So we'll just bend that up so we're not pushing that down and distorting the panel. So we'll work that out, and then we'll get back, we'll put some plug welds back in it after we finish cleaning up those ones. Now, the end goal is to get the shape like this once it's fully welded in. Now, obviously me clamping it down to that bracket underneath had distorted the shape in the middle, so I've re-bent it back up, and that's pretty much how I want it to be on the finished touch. So I'll quickly just have a look in the boot, and you'll see that that gap in there has widened up again. So I'm definitely going to have to make a plate of some sort to attach there to under there to keep that shape. Now these tabs here, I'm sure I can bend up on each side to get the right shape that we want, but we'll make that plate and go from there. Well, I've made the piece that's going to fit in between the filler panel and the bracket. So we'll get that clamped in place and we'll weld that in, and hopefully it does the job that we need. I've got that held on by one clamp, but we'll put a few tacks in it, and then I can adjust what height I want when I want to weld it to the underneath of there, and that'll give me the height that I want. So we've got a little bit of movement when I need to bring it up or lower it down a bit, be able to adjust from there. So let's get the first tacks in and go from there. Righto, I have a few tacks in that. It's nice and sturdy in the middle there now. That'll hold until we probably tack that in, but the gap all the way around now is pretty much perfect. Come down and have a look. Look how nice and even that is. No big low section or anything like that. We're laughing. So I'm going to get that rest of that buzzed in, and we'll come back shortly. Righto. So I have ground back the welds for this center section, and the spot welds in there. That's about as good as I can get it cleaning up wise, because the tools don't fit in that channel too well, but that's okay. And I ground back that weld there so it doesn't look so ugly. But if you're going to look at the finished product, when the boot rubber goes back on, like thus, for example, all of that gets hidden in there anyway, so not an issue. And we'll paint that bit black, and it'll blend in very nicely. So, yes, the boot lid is back off again because it's very hard to weld with that thing on. So I thought, let's take it off and get the job done properly. So, left to do now is spot weld the rest in, and we're laughing. Okay, I'm going to keep going on with the plug welding, and we'll get back to you when it's all done. Well, it is fully welded in. Now we'll quickly go around and I'll show you. I have to grind back the welds, but that's okay. Now we look here, we've got some plug welds there, and then if you see that top lip there, I've welded from the back, so it looks like spot welds. How cool is that, eh? I learned that from another guy's YouTube channel, so that worked out well. And then we've got the plug welds and a little bit of welding on the side there. And we're welded underneath there as well. That was fun, twisting myself into positions in there, trying to get that done, and the same under there as well. But I'll grind these welds back and we'll come back then. Update time. We are welded in, ground back, ready for the final touches. So I have spent hours and hours grinding back the welds. Now, if you do not have a file sander, you will find this task very hard, because there's lots of little places that you need to get into sand, and that's the only thing that'll get in there to do it. So, having said that, as we move along the finished panel, now all the little imperfections I'm going to fix up with filler. Like, only going to be a thin coat in little areas, so not too bad. So it's all ground underneath that lip there. Now what I've had to do was this gap here didn't want to close up too far, so both sides I've had to fill with weld, and it's very hard to get that line back, so I just got the grinding disc and put a slit in it, and we'll fix it up with the filler. I can get it nice. It doesn't look too bad now, it's a straight line on both sides. And you know, that's the style line that was in the car from factory. So we're putting that back in. I have seen some people on cars that have replaced this panel. They just smooth it out and don't have anything there. Now, if I can't get the filler to do what I want, then we'll just fill it and sand it smooth like other people, but I would prefer it to be there. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm just waiting for this etch primer to fully dry, and then we'll mix up some filler and put it on, and then we're almost done. I'll come back soon. Small amount of body filler has been applied, etched, primed, and we're good to go. Now, do you see those little light patches just on the edge there, a little bit on there, a tiny bit there, and a tiny bit over here? That's where the filler is. And that's all there is. It was just a minute amount. But all in all, it's come up well. So, very happy with the way it's turned out. Sits nice and straight and flat. And that is perfect. Couldn't be happier. Give you a look from the other side. Look at that. Very nice. I've just placed the boot lid back on again just to double check our work after all the welding, to make sure we haven't gone out of alignment again after the tack welding, and we're still in good shape there. Lines are good. Obviously the boot's not lined up properly, but it's not hitting anywhere. Looks good, so we're all good there. And obviously this is not going to be the boot to go back on after we're painted, so that doesn't matter. But all in all, I'm very happy with the way it's turned out. Those style lines have turned out all right. I'm happy with them. This panel here still needs a little work here and a little bit there, but when we do this quarter here, we'll fix that up properly. It's very close to being ready. That about wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from this, and if you want to tackle this, it is worth a go. You don't have to be an expert, as I'm not, but it's turned out pretty good. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.